I just been spending a lot of time with family, working on myself within, and just staying resilient. Keeping the mind on the mission. That's being a football player and doing all the things that come with that. Even when the times got hard, keeping myself in shape, keeping myself motivated from within, not listening to the naysayers or not giving doubt or worries about will I be able to return. I had good trainers, good people around me in my corner that kept me encouraged, that kept me motivated. And I just believe, I knew one day I would get a chance to be back in this position. And I just try to check every box to make sure when I was able to get back, that I was ready to go.
That's Antonio Brown stringing together into a quilt every possible cliche he could utter with no real insight into anything. I don't want to be overly critical of the guy, but really, it's one cliche after another.
Yeah.
It's like Tom Brady gave him a list of all the phrases to use, and the one thing that caught my attention, don't listen to the naysayers. Look, Antonio, the naysayers aren't being unfair to you. The naysayers are pointing out the things that you have done,
Right.
the behavior in which you have engaged
Yes.
that has caused you to not play football for the last 2 seasons. It's your fault, not ours. And you have deprived yourself of an opportunity to perform in the waning years of your prime, if you're still in your prime. And, that's not on us. That's on you, Antonio Brown. So don't I know they find motivation anywhere they can, but don't call out the naysayers when we're merely pointing out the train wreck that he's been the engineer of, Chris.
Yeah, no, I mean, I agreed with that. I mean, it's a little bit of a theme in, just our world right now. Like, I've done something wrong. Wait, how dare you bring attention to me doing something wrong? And I mean, that's across the board. I mean, I see that with people in my personal life. I mean, everything. It's everywhere. So I don't get that. You're right. He's in this situation because of himself. We're all happy he's back. You fought very hard and said a lot of things about him deserving another chance and that he had paid his penalty with all the suspension and all that. But so you stuck up for him that way. But yes.
Oh, he got screwed. He got
did.
screwed.
He
the
did.
way the NFL handled him last year, he served a 14-game unpaid suspension last year because the NFL wouldn't tell any interested teams whether or not he'd be put on the commissioner exempt list. End result, he's suspended without pay for 14 games. And then they slap him with another 8 games this year. It was wrong. Even though his behavior merits criticism, I don't believe that you should use the fact that a guy has done unsavory things, allegedly or actually, as justification for depriving him of his rights. And they did, in my opinion, Chris.
Yeah, no,
Sorry.
I understand that.
I
do.
You reminded me of that.
Yeah.
You reminded me that I was pissed off about that.
Well, yeah, I was trying to remind everybody else, though, even though you're, and we're both saying, yeah, you're the one to blame, Antonio Brown. You also did stick up for him that way. And, hey, we're glad he's back. I'm excited to see what he's got, to see the combination with him out there with all that talent and Tampa and Brady and everything, and let's see what it's worth. But we'll certainly be watching closely Sunday night to see how he looks.
I think one thing we all just need to generally remember when people are accused of doing things they shouldn't have done, they do still have rights, and they do deserve to be treated fairly and properly by the legal system, by their employer. And see, what happens is when there's somebody who does something that makes them unlikable, we all become less sensitive to the fact that they do have rights.
Right.
But you know what? One of these days, those rights may need to be exercised by you, by someone you love, by one of your friends, by someone you care about, whatever the case may be. So those rights are there to protect all of us, and we always need to be sensitive of that. And I do think the NFL handled him improperly last year and this year because he could have been playing. This PR obsession the NFL has now as it relates to off-field misconduct, where we don't even want to let a guy who's been accused of something that makes us uncomfortable onto the field, even though his rights haven't been resolved yet. That's what leads to situations like this. Here's a little Antonio Brown talking about his new housemate, Tom Brady. If you didn't notice the TB12, here he is gushing about his quarterback.
Tom is my boy. One of the greatest leaders to be around. He's encouraging, always inspiring. He brings out the best of the people around him. He wants the best for everyone around him. I mean, he's the greatest quarterback all time. Nothing he have done in the past matter. He always getting better, day in and day out. And I just learned a lot from him. How he trains, how he take care of himself professionally, his discipline, his work ethic, his approach. He's been a great guy in my corner and one of my close friends.
See, I think here's the reality. Antonio Brown is a guy who, in many respects, is completely and totally incorrigible. Will listen to no one. Will respond to no one. Responded to Mike Tomlin until he didn't. And the one guy, I think, who has reached him, who has gotten him in line and gotten him to behave is Tom Brady. Chris, I think it's obvious. And I think that's why Brady wants him in Tampa. He knows what Antonio Brown can do on the football field. And I think also, when you're the one guy that a guy no one will listen to actually listens to, I think that creates a natural affinity and a friendship there. And I think Tom Brady feels responsible for Antonio Brown. And I applaud that aspect of it, that there is this real friendship and that there's respect that is keeping in line a guy who otherwise was all over the place, doing all sorts of things he shouldn't have done. So, look, maybe this was not going to work anywhere in the NFL. Maybe there's only one place it was going to work, wherever Tom Brady happened to be, and it was never going to work in New England when Tom Brady was there after what happened last year, so now it works in Tampa. And I think I'm rooting for Antonio Brown. I want this. I think this is fascinating. I love a good redemption story, and if Brady can keep him in line, I think he's still got plenty of good football left in the tank, especially with all the weapons that they're going to have around him.
Yeah, I would think so too. He's a psycho, Antonio Brown, as far as staying in shape, staying football ready. I mean, you heard Bruce Arians last week talk about he's ready to go day one. There's no doubt about it. I mean, that's the famous stories you always hear about Antonio Brown, and then I've witnessed it in person too, in practice. I mean, it's full steam ahead from the second he gets out there. He attacks it. So I think there's a common place that Brady and Antonio Brown have right off the bat. They love to work. They love to put in the work for their craft so they can be their best on Sundays. And then, hey, there's not a whole lot of people in the world who can put themselves in Antonio Brown's shoes. And Brady does have a great way about him. He's genuinely a nice person. He's got great charisma. He's easy to talk to. He really is. And I think for a guy like Antonio Brown who, yes, rich and famous and, man, everybody's trying to get at me and wants a piece of me, good and bad and everything like that, I think when you see another guy that's in that situation and yet you go, man, it just seems like it's all harmony in his life and he's got it figured out and none of these things in the outside world affect him, I think that's probably where the relationship really grew to where he could respect Tom Brady and be like, wait, he's cool and a great guy, and he's like me in a lot of ways, but, for somehow, some way, he's focused his life in and got it all straight, and I think that's probably where he looks at Brady and is amazed, and he's kind of his role model, and that's why he's willing to listen to him and take to him and kind of be his, Robin to Brady's Batman at this point.
And I think there's an important point in all of that, too. When you consider the background of a lot of NFL players and the fact that all of a sudden they become very rich and very famous at a young age,
it's a lot.
You never know who to trust.
Yes.
You never know who to trust because all of a sudden you've got people coming out of the woodwork who, under the guise of helping you out, are trying to pick your pocket. And you get overwhelmed by that. And in this setting, it's obvious that Tom Brady does not need to worry about trying to take advantage of Antonio Brown in any way, shape, or form. Tom Brady has already won in every way possible. He can genuinely be interested in helping Antonio Brown, but there still is a selfish motivation there, Chris, because look, if Tom Brady didn't see a high level of potential performance in Antonio Brown, I don't think Tom Brady would be spending the time and the effort and whatever marital equity. Remember when he was on with Howard Stern back in April and he talked about how his wife wrote him the letter about balance and stuff? I don't know what the family thinks about the new house guest who's living with Tom Brady, but you are encroaching upon other aspects of your life to get the most out of this Antonio Brown relationship. And let's be real about it. Even though Tom Brady isn't trying to pick Antonio Brown's pocket, Tom Brady wants Antonio Brown on the football field because Antonio Brown's going to help Tom Brady get to number 7.
Right.
And that's why this friendship is there. If this guy was just some schlub, some slappy, some guy off the street, Tom Brady's not giving him a room at Derek Jeter's mansion.
No, he's not. You're right. And that's, I hear that a lot from the naysayers right now. Oh, I mean, Brady, he wouldn't care.
It's not naysayer, it's truth-sayer.
I know, but it's trying to put it all in a negative light or a little bit like where
it's the truth.
I know.
It's the truth.
It is the truth, but yet like, hey,
you can't handle the truth.
I can, soldier. Hold on and let me explain something for a second. But I think the thing, where that gets a little bit like lost in translation or whatever is, first off, we don't know what he would do for other people. But second off, okay, yes, I mean, it all conveniently works. He's not going to just, hey, coach, I got some crappy receiver down the street and I like him and I'm in his corner and I'm trying to help him out. I'm going to let him stay at the house. You think we can have a shot to make him on the team? It all worked. The team needed it. He knows how good he is. Yes, he needs him personally. And then also he's friends with the guy and he wants to help him out personally. And that's where it goes together. I mean, yes, you're right. Johnny, ex-receiver who was on the practice squad who has life problems. Yeah, that's not the same situation. So I know how it looks, and you're right, it is the truth, but there's a lot of circumstances that play into that.
It doesn't make it not a good story, but we need to be realistic about it. I don't want to get caught up in some mythology here that this is some altruistic endeavor by Tom Brady. He's getting something out of it too.
Yeah.
Potentially ring number 7, surpassing Michael Jordan, and then maybe walking off into the sunset unless he develops a taste for number 8.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.